It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Alexander Lowen, who I've known for 30 years, who is the founder and really the originator of bioenergetic analysis. He's written a great number of books. I feel fortunate he's been my teacher and mentor all these years, and I'd like for Dr. Lowen to go ahead and tell us some of his basic ideas.
I've got a lot of ideas. Mostly the more important thing are my experiences.
Right.
What I've realized that got me into the way of working, you know, a body-mind approach, is that I came out of a family which was split. My father and mother never got along together. They fought all the years that I've known them. And there were two different personalities. My mother was an intellectual, not a great intellectual, but she always was thinking, trying to figure things out in her head, and ambitious. My father was pleasure-loving, kind of relaxed, wanted to enjoy life, you see, but not aggressive.
So you were aware of these things?
No, I felt it.
At some degree, huh?
Only as I got older.
Oh.
In fact, I wasn't really aware of how much they affected me until I got into therapy and began to do this work. But they affected me.
Right.
Because what happened to me is that as I grew up, I found that I was smart. My mother had insisted on that, see? But I loved to play ball.
Yeah.
I love the physical aspect. So you have one leg in one field, one leg in the other, and you're nowhere. And I needed to find something that would bring these two together. Otherwise, I would have gone down right the middle.
Yeah.
And luckily, I ran into Wilhelm Reich.
Well,
and,
tell us how you happened to get yourself to the place where you could appreciate who Reich was and how you needed to work with him.
Well, what happened is that I was an athletic director at different summer places and teaching school, and I was an attorney, admitted to the bar with 2 degrees in law, and floundering. See, what did I want to do with my life? You know, how could I fit in somewhere that made any sense to me? And I thought it had to do something with body work. The reason for that is that when I went away to camp in the summer as a director, that's when I enjoyed my life.
Oh.
And I said, it's got to be there. So I tried to write a book which would explain the value of working with the body for feeling and for a good feeling, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't know enough. It was just feeling in me. And so I started to look around for people who understood the relationship between the body and the mind. And there were very few.
Right.
Either they were intellectuals or they were purely physical people. They didn't have a connection. Until I ran across Reich, and he was teaching at the New School for Social Research and giving a course, I forget the exact title, character analysis, I think, in which he explained that there was an intimate connection between the body and the mind.
About when was that?
1940.
Okay.
Where are we now? 50-some years later.
58 years later.
And I tell you, I was so excited. He let me come into the course, and while I was skeptical about one aspect of his work, which is his emphasis upon sexuality, I was enthusiastic about his ideas about the body-mind connection. Well, eventually, I got in therapy with him. And everything that I hoped for became possible for me. But the road wasn't easy. I had to work through a split. It's not something you can heal through your mind.
Yeah, you feel it.
You have to feel it, and you have to work it out on a dynamic level. See? Well, I tell you, I was in therapy with Reich for 3 years, and it was a body therapy mostly. We didn't do much talking, and focused on breathing. Well, breathing is the most important thing in life. If you don't breathe, you don't have any life, you know?
You're not alive.
And he knew something about breathing. And I had some great experiences in that session. And it really changed my life. So here, I decided I had to get into this work, and I had to get trained for it. Reich taught me some of the things that he did and knew, you know. And I began then to start to work with people a little bit. But I knew I had to be more trained. So I went to medical school. And after getting my medical degree, I came back And shortly after that, I started work on bioenergetic analysis.
So about when was that you and I know John Prokos
I met him in
associated with
'52.
you when you
After I came back.
That was after you came back
Yeah,
from
we
Europe.
just started to share an office, but he was interested also in my ideas.
Yeah.
So we teamed up. But that was 52. Did I
52.
say that? And
Yeah.
we're now 98. Well, I can only say that in these more than 40 years, 46 years, of working on the body-mind problem, I think I'm beginning to understand something, and I'm going to talk about it tonight. The conviction I have, of course, is that you are your body, and your head doesn't control it in a positive way. It can control it in some respects in a negative way. And my job was to get more into my body so I wasn't split between a body and mind situation. And of course that saved my life, fulfilled my life in many ways. And I'm finally coming to a point where I think I understand how this should work. But it's not easy.
Well, give us some of your basic concepts.
Well, you are your body, right? That means that if you're going to change in any significant way, your body must change. And the body is not something you talk about. Body is something that can be seen. So if I work with somebody, I have to see the physical change on a body level, then I know they're changing and what's going on. But more important, you see, you are your body. It tells the story of your life.
Absolutely.
And it also tells us where your present problems are. It's all about you. In fact, it is you. So knowing how to read a body, what we call body language, and understand that it portrays the history of the person, gives you some leverage in helping him, make the changes he needs to find some fulfillment in life. They aren't easy. But if you don't make them, I'm sorry for you, because you lose out the meaning of life. You'll never know the fulfillment, the joy of being fully free in your body, fully alive.
And I'm sure from so many people that I've seen you've worked with, that when they know that you see them through your body, they know you understand them. And it develops a working relationship very quickly from your understanding by seeing their body. You don't have to talk to them for hours.
That's right.
And they are ready then to go ahead and begin the work.
Well, let me put it this way to you. The way you make a contact with people, in contact, is physically, not psychologically. You don't sit down and chat about ideas. That's not contacting the person. Your eyes look at each other, you touch, you hear the voices, you know? So it's a real living, vital experience on an energetic level.
And then when you see the body and see what the person's experience has been and where they are now, just say something about how you begin the work.
Well, what you find is that all the problems a person has are structured in his body. And the basic problems he has is that he's afraid to come alive and have feelings fully. That's a basic problem. For good reason, but the fact is that's a basic problem.
Usually as children they were reprimanded or rejected whenever they showed their emotions.
That's right. Oh, even punished. Did they get a little wild? They were beaten, all kinds of terrible things happening. So they had to learn to cut off feelings.
Right.
And the only way you cut off feelings is to deaden your body. That's the only way you can cut off feelings. Dead bodies don't feel.
Yeah.
But getting back the feelings, when people are so frightened of feeling, is a long, hard road. But it's a worthwhile road. And the problem that we have is that the culture is not a body culture.
Absolutely.
It's a head-end oriented culture.
More and more.
More and more, emphasizing thinking and power and not feeling. Feeling is the last thing that enters the picture of modern life. So I'm afraid we're fighting a losing battle on this in some ways.
Well, certainly socially, it looks like our problems get bigger and bigger all the time.
Yeah. When you lose contact with your body, you enter a little bit of an insane world. That's what insanity is.
Yeah.
You become unreal, and you don't feel yourself in a human way. And you see a lot of that going on around here. And I'm afraid that's going to get worse. But if you're going to help people, you've got to first look at yourself and find out how you can deal with the problems you've had from your childhood.
Right.
And when you can do that, it's not a quick job, but when you do that, you open your heart and your mind and your body to the real understanding of life.
And what people, I think, so often miss in our talking about this, with that comes real pleasure.
Joy even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because real pleasure is a body awareness,
yeah, body
feeling of aliveness.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So here you've got, everybody's worried about health, these days, and I think they're right to worry because they're not healthy. People are sick out there. Their bodies are grotesque. So let me say this, that a healthy person is really characterized by a body that's alive and vital.
Right.
Eyes that shine,
Right.
a voice that's resonant, a manner that's soft, a sense of grace, a carriage that's dignified, and not dominated by his ego, with a sense of humility when he talks about things.
Right.
So I have to find that in myself, and if I find it in myself, I try to share it with my patients
Right.
and help them reach it. It's a long road, Frank.
Years and years.
Years and
every
years.
step's worth it. Because I
That's the
remember
way
you
to-
said years ago, it's like a gold mine may take years to get the gold out, but every little bit you get, you've got something.
That's right. Well, it's certainly been worth it for me. Would you say the same thing about yourself?
Absolutely. Both of us are getting mature, but I'm enjoying the process. In some
yes,
ways, I
yes,
feel more
yes.
alive all the time.
That's right. I do. Your body, there's a different quality in your body. It isn't that you have the same athletic ability that you had when you're younger, but I still retain quite a good body function,
Yeah.
at 87. But the fact is that you have a deeper feeling and appreciation of life because you're in your body.
Yeah.
So I hope that people will take our experiences that we're sharing here to heart in the understanding that they can have something like this. But you know that people are so scared to feel. There's a lot of pain in them, sadness, despair, feelings that they'll go crazy if they open up their feelings,
Yeah. Because they were so rejected for their aliveness as children. And that's so much a part of them still.
That's right.
And we know that it's only through the relationship with us as a therapist they can trust.
That's right.
That they get
Slowly,
the courage to
yeah.
begin to open those feelings up.
Right. But it doesn't make a difference how long it takes if you're on the right road. And it's
No, not
moving
if you're gaining all the time.
all the time. Exactly.
Right.
I don't mind continuing to work on myself.
No, I enjoy it more all the time.
Sure. So tonight, in this workshop setting, I'm going to talk about working with the body.
All right.
Some very basic ways and the concepts that are connected with them of how you can work with your body to increase its aliveness, to give it more energy, to find that you have more, a better sense of control, you're more self-possession. I mean, your body is who you are.
Yeah.
And the more you're in touch with the body, the more you're in touch with yourself.
I remember those three
Sayings
statements you used to say, self-awareness, self-expression, then comes self-possession.
Possession, right.
And I feel that's so true. We have to feel where we are to be aware of our feelings. And it takes some time to even get aware of our feelings.
Or that you haven't got any feelings.
Or haven't got
You have
any.
to work
Yeah.
on it. Yeah. Well, I had a patient today who, or yesterday she came in and she said she was lost. She felt lost. Well, of course, she wasn't lost in what you might call practical sense. I mean, she knew where she was.
Yeah.
She could tell you her name. She wasn't crazy or
Yeah.
anything like that. But she didn't feel herself.
Right.
And in a sense of the feeling of the self, she was a lost person.
Yeah.
See? And you can't do that by talking about it. You have to feel it.
Have to begin to feel again.
Yeah, so feeling is where bioenergetics is at.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, feeling is not where the world is at right now.
And usually the development of feeling has to come, as you said, from the body, and I know through movement and sound and energy, through the aliveness of the body do we get to feeling?
Well, what feeling is, it's a very simple thing, is you feel your body. And for you to feel your body has to move, because something that doesn't move, you
if
can't feel.
If we're dead still, we don't feel anything.
That's right. See? So you got to get this body, get it alive, then you can get some feeling. You can talk about feelings all day long, you know, but it's not feeling. It's an idea that you're talking about. Yeah. Feeling is a sensation in the body that comes when you can sense what's going on in your body. You can have good feelings and bad feelings. But if you don't sense your body, you're just a spirit. What do I call it? A disenchanted spirit that's wandering around and doesn't know where to go, who he is or who she is, you know. So if you put the spirit back into the body, you know, the body gets more alive and the spirit gets more uplifted and fulfilled.
Yeah.
Both.
And we find pleasure and joy.
Yeah.
Even with all the pain in life.
Well, there's less pain for people who really can handle it. You know, people carry a pain that's unnecessary. I mean, they're frightened really.
Mostly, probably.
See? Just give you an example. If they're sitting up as tight as this, like that, and talking, God, that's an awful painful way to be.
And they may have been carrying that for 50 years.
They're not even aware of it. They don't know what you're talking about when you talk about their tension and how much it hurts, because they've deadened themselves to it, see? Tragic. For most people, life is tragic. Well, let's hope that anybody who does any therapy with people will really realize the importance of working with the body to make that body alive and change in a positive way. Because what you do in your head has no feeling quality attached to it, or very little.
Right.
Consciousness is a very shallow phenomenon. It's like the tip of the iceberg, which you can be aware of.
Yeah.
It's a surface. It doesn't go deep. So from a conscious level, sure, you can change some ideas. It's like painting the house over. It doesn't change the house, you know. But real change is done on a dynamic inner level, below the level of consciousness. And that's what bioenergetics is. It works below the level of consciousness.
And it's only by the therapist becoming aware of their aliveness and working on their problems that they can be able to help others.
Well, I suppose you know, if you haven't made a trip to a certain place, you can't take anybody else there. You've got to make the trip of discovering yourself first, you know, going through your problems before you can lead anyone else. Say, well, I think if anybody could commit himself to his own body, you know, in a real way, he'll never regret it.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Lowen, for taking the time to share your experiences with us. And it's always been a pleasure to be with you. Every time I've been with you over the last 30 years, which have been many, many times, I've learned something and also enjoyed our contact.
Well,
and so I hope that many people will be able to see this video and appreciate the years of work and experience and knowledge and pleasure in his body that Dr. Lowen has given us.
We all get involved in this work because we have a feeling for the basic concepts, that is, that the body is where it's at, where our lives are at. True intellectuals avoid bioenergetics like the plague. They want to talk and theorize. And the moment you get into body work, they're lost, and they put it aside, and they think it's irrelevant because everything for them is up in their head, see? Well, the reason I got into it is that I was floundering myself. It's a very interesting story. I have 2 degrees in law, and I was a teacher, and at the same time, I was also doing athletic work as athletic director at a number of camps. Now, as a teacher and as a law, I never got into the law actually, even though I have 1 degree summa cum laude and a 2nd degree master cum laude. I never got into the law. Something stopped me from going that way. One of the things that stopped me was the fact that when I graduated from law school, it was 1934. Now, I was the top student in the class. I was teaching school and making about $50 a week. Come from a fairly poor family, but that was very nice. And the only job that was offered to me was to be a law clerk, and with a man who was an accountant. He would pay me $6 a week. I couldn't live on $6 a week. So I turned it down, and then I went on and got the doctor's degree in law, but it led nowhere. On the other hand, my heart was in the physical activities that I enjoyed, playing sports, teaching tennis, organizing physical activities at camps. That's where my heart was. My head was in the books. And I was floundering, and I was trying to find myself, not realizing it right on that level, but actually to find a way to go with myself in life. My feeling was that the way of the body was the way that would fulfill me. But you know, I wasn't a doctor. I taught commercial law because I had these law degrees and I have an accounting background. I could play all the sports, but I'm not the top sportsman either. I'm only a small fellow. I can't compete with the champs. Anyway, I decided to write a book about the body and the mind out of my own experience with it. And then I thought, well, I'll see what other people have to say about the body and the mind. Well, this was 1938, and there was very little about the body and the mind anywhere in the literature. There still is very little out there about the body and the mind. Awful lot about the mind. Awful lot about the body, but not about any relationship between the two. Fortunately, I ran across an announcement in the bulletin of a new school for social research in New York of a man, Wilhelm Reich, who is going to give a course on character analysis on, not on, he's a psychiatrist, see, but which he connects the body and the mind. And he explained that connection. It's a very subtle one. He says these are both antithetical aspects of the body, of the person, and at the same time, they're one, they're unified. The idea is there's a unity and an antithesis in the body and mind. Now, that's a dialectic concept which I put on the board over here. See? What this says is that, and this is Reich's position when I met him, that there is a central core out of which two forces arise, see, and they become opposite each other. One force is the body, the other force is the mind, and they interact. The body does controls, it does things with the mind does things with the body, etc. And yet they are one over here. Now, Reich was a psychoanalyst. And before I met him, he had already begun to work with some body aspects. One of the things he did, which as an analyst, was to learn about the patient, he began to study not the body as we do today, but the way people move, the way they relate on a body level, how they really come across on a body level. Now, that was unknown to the analysts. I mean, because the idea in analysis is that you sit or lie on a couch or a bed and you just free associate. That was the whole way of treatment. Now, as an analyst, Reich sat behind the patient, which is the standard position for the analyst, and the person, the subject, would talk, free associate, say whatever comes into your mind, and the rule is don't hold anything back. So Reich's sitting there, and this patient is talking. All of a sudden, the patient stops short in the middle of a sentence, and Reich looks at the patient, and the traditional psychoanalytic approach to this problem is to tell a patient, continue talking because you're blocking, which is true. But Reich looked at the patient, noticed he wasn't breathing. You know, he was talking, suddenly he went like that. as if he was going to say something that would be very disturbing to him, and he caught himself. And you catch yourself by stopping to breathe. See? So without a breath, you don't continue, etc. And Reich said to him, "You're not breathing. Breathe." And the patient started to breathe and started to cry, and all kinds of feelings broke out. And Reich said, "You know the way people block their feelings and repress their things is by holding their breath." Well, now that's such a brilliant idea. Way back in the late 1920s, 1830, I think, around that time. See, nobody paid any attention to it. We'll find out they don't pay that much attention now when you talk that way. But those who do are the wiser ones, see? So I was very impressed with this whole approach. And eventually I decided that I would work with Reich and go into therapy with him, or he suggested that. And I spent 3 years as a patient. And as a patient, I went 3 times a week. And what I did is I lay on a couch, and all I did was breathe. Oh, well, that's a lot. At least. And you know, surprisingly, things happened to me. Almost from the moment I began to do this kind of full and free breathing. And I've reported some of this, so I don't need to go into too much into it. First session, for example, just breathing innocently. See? Reich said, "Open your eyes, Lowen." I went like that and I screamed. It just came out of me. I didn't know where it came from, what it meant, except that I knew I was scared, because you don't scream if you're not scared. And I didn't feel afraid. I just knew I'm afraid, and I don't know what of. Well, that was the way the therapy went on. 3 times a week, you lay on a couch and you breathe, or at least you didn't do it as an exercise. That's an important point. I'll come to it. And things happened. They didn't happen every session, but enough happened to make the therapy begin to work, in the sense that memories came back spontaneously. I got up once from the couch without even knowing I was going to get up, turned around and began to beat the bed, and I saw the face of my father. And I was beating him and remembered that he had given me a spanking once. And that came all up by itself. So that's how Reich worked with the body. He had you breathe at that time. And he also was aware and tried to work a little bit with the tensions that he saw, tight jaws and how people held themselves. Well, then I went off, realizing that this is the field I wanted to work in. I went to medical school for 4 years in Switzerland, stopped what I was doing in New York, because then I had become a Reichian therapist, and then came back and resumed as a Reichian therapist. And again, with this basic concept of the body-mind relationship, you see. Now, the body-mind relationship, you see, as I say, an antithetical one, in which there are 2 different aspects that are interacting all the time, see? Yet with an underlying unity. Well, the unity, of course, is that the person is just one person. I mean, he's not split up. Something is split up, but not the person. Well, what's split up over here is consciousness. Our consciousness is split. And we have 2 kinds of consciousness, all of us, you see, that are different. One, we have the consciousness of the body as every animal has the consciousness of its body. If you watch a cat, it knows exactly what it's going to do. It looks at a shelf or a table, watch it, boom, lands right just where it wants to. Never misses almost, never, if you watch cats. Conscious, it knows what it's doing. It studies everything. That's one kind of consciousness. And then we have a different kind of consciousness, which is a split consciousness, and that's called self-consciousness. This is really... No animal is self-conscious, and no neurotic patient isn't self-conscious. Every Every patient, every person in our culture is self-conscious. You know, they aren't free. They have to, what am I going to say? How it'll be received? I'm ashamed to say this. I can't show this feeling, etc., etc. In every aspect of our life, well, to a degree anyway, we are ruled by what you call self-consciousness. Now, I can give you a little interesting understanding of the forces that create the self-consciousness. That isn't the theme I'm going to work on, but I'll tell you about it. We have what our forebrain has two different halves. We have a left half brain and a right half brain, and they're different. You must have heard about that. The right half brain, see, the right hemisphere they call it, deals with feelings, basically, and gestalt configurations, relationships, and the left half brain deals with analytic processes, analyzes logic, puts things together in ideas and schemes. And they're absolutely different, although they have their connections through what they call a corpus callosum, where the nerves pass back and forth between the two. So it's coordinated. But that's interesting that we have two different half brains. And in that respect. Now, what differentiates the left brain from the right brain? Very important functions. The answer is the left brain is where languages lives. There is no language function in the right brain, only in the left brain. See? And by the way, thinking involves language. Feeling doesn't. See? We think in words. As you sit there, you go over in your mind, you're talking to yourself all the time. Sort of voce. Your vocal cords are working and you're phrasing ideas and, you know, what you think and, or in words, what you feel. So there's always a feeling word connection that's going on in the left brain. The right brain is different. Now, self-consciousness has to do with the fact that you can begin to perceive yourself as if you're outside yourself. You're not outside, but you're aware of what you're doing. You're even aware, for example, sometimes of what you look like and etc. You're seeing yourself from outside. So one half of this brain, see, visualize you in terms of images and words and ideas and concepts and body structure, etc. And the other half of the brain deals with non-logical things, feelings, music, sensations, certain kinds of sensations. Now, the split, you see, in all human beings is this split between the consciousness of an animal in terms of feeling its body and the self-consciousness of a human being who's always analyzing what he's thinking, always figuring, always thinking is the right way to say it. See? The right brain can't think like that because it has no words. It just feels. See? Sensations. But with words, you can begin to separate yourself off from the body processes and analyze them and work with them. There's a very interesting book about this in some sense. There's a book by a fellow called Janes, it is Jaynes, Janes, called The Origin and History of Consciousness. And if you want to follow up on this, you ought to read it. And I mentioned some things about this book, I think, in Betrayal of the Body. But it's an important concept to have, this split between language and a part of your brain that functions logically, intellectually, and a part of the brain doesn't. Well, now, what does this brain represent, this part that is the language brain, etc.? That part of the mind, this self-consciousness, which is up on the left side, well, this will be the right, let's say, doesn't matter, of the brain, R-I-G-H, and this will be the left side of the brain, where the language is. Well, I don't want to mess this up. So this is the language side here. on the left side, the language mind. It begins to form concepts. It becomes self-conscious. It begins to identify with itself as a thinking person. We are thinking people. The animals are thinking people too, but they can't think in words. It's language that makes us different, and written language that makes us very different, because we can put it on writing now and it becomes objective. There is our thinking outside of ourselves, etc. Well, this part of the brain, see, on the left side, you see, develops, or is a seat where the ego is. The ego is that function in your brain which begins to see you from as if it were outside of you. Knows what you're thinking, knows what you're planning, tries to control what you're going to do, etc. You know what an ego is. There's nothing mysterious about it. That's in the left brain, not in the right brain. That is the split that occurs right here in all human beings. This side here is connected also with the body as a brain function, but on a feeling level, and this on a thinking level. So you get the fact that we are identified by our thinking. And you know who said that? Descartes. And Descartes is famous for the statement that je pense donc je suis, I think, therefore I am. Thinking. We are thinking creatures. And thinking creatures are creatures with a split in them. And the split is over here. Right at this point, it splits, see? Goes that way, and it goes that way energetically. Now, the split is also the level at which consciousness exists, awareness. So on an unconscious level, there's no split. When you're sleeping, you're not split. You're feeling, that's all you are. You can dream, but you're not split. You're not self-conscious when you sleep. See? So it's coming into the awake state, see, that we split. And suddenly, as we wake up, we start think about ourselves. I mean, imagine my cat getting up and thinking, how do I feel this morning? What am I going to do this morning? Well, but that split is very important to understand, because consciousness, and it's a split in consciousness right here, is a surface phenomenon. We can become aware of ourselves from the surface. All consciousness is a function of the surface. And I don't want to go too into the technical aspects of it, but you don't feel your heartbeat normally. You don't feel your kidneys working. You don't feel your liver working. Hormone glands, you're not even conscious of them. So consciousness is a very limited thing, but you're conscious of your feet and of what you're wearing and of the outside, people around you. It's a way of being more aware of the world around you and its relation to you, rather than a way of being in touch deeply with yourself. And in fact, you can. It takes a yoga mystic or fakir to try to begin to feel his heart or feel his kidneys or feel his blood flowing, and you can eventually arrive at doing it, you know? But that's not the normal pattern. So it's consciousness. Now, feelings are not on the conscious level. Sensation is. For example, if I touch you, you have a sensation in my hand, you see? That's not an emotional feeling. It's just a sensation, see? And you can have sensation. You can be conscious of all kinds of sensation, touch, visions, hearing, smell, etc. Those are all sensations. From the outside, touching the outside, and you become aware of it, see? But what about the deeper aspects of the body? Love, for example. When you're in love, where does that happen? You feel it, but where does it happen? You're talking about a feeling, a real thing that's happening in your body, but not on a conscious level. You can't consciously fall in love. You can't pick a woman and say, I'm going to love that woman. You might say, I'm going to marry her. I'm going to sleep with her. You can't make yourself say, you can say it, but you'll never get the feeling of love. Those things are beyond consciousness. See, all deep feelings are not conscious functions. Anger, real anger, is not something you can do consciously. Oh, you can act it, because that smart ego can imitate, knows how to do things, but you cannot really feel real anger. So it shows in your eyes. Unless you feel it, you can't make it happen. See, now we have enough anger in ourselves, in us sometimes, to bring the anger out, to show it and become aware of it. Sadness, you feel the sadness. Why don't you tell yourself, I'm going to feel joyful? You can't do that. You can tell yourself that all you want. You can act it, but you can't feel joyful just by the ego. On the other hand, the ego can help you cut off feelings. There's a special reason for that. Now, what I'm trying to say, the way the ego cuts off feelings, an important aspect of the understanding is it deadens the body by blocking movement, by tensing muscles. It deadens the body, then there's no feeling, but it can't create a feeling. Now, here we are as psychotherapists, and we're working with feelings. Well, if we don't work with feelings, we're working with words, and that's meaningless. You might as well save your money for all the good it'll do you to talk about words. It's like one patient told me that she came to her analyst every week and made up a story to tell him. I don't know why she did it. Maybe she just needed to talk to somebody, you know, and you pay him money and he'll listen. But on a deeper level of sadness, love, fear, rage, hate, the deep sexual passion, those are not on the surface. Those are deep inside yourself. Love, we know, is in the heart, you see. Sadness, we know, is deep in your belly full of tears, see? And therefore, you cannot do anything with that on a conscious level. So you go to your analyst and you can talk about all your feelings, and nothing will change. You can't approach it from that side. And this is where bioenergetics came in, or Reich too. How can you reach the feelings? You can't do it through your consciousness. You have to do it through your body. So you ask yourself, what are feelings? What are they really? How do they exist in the body? Well, if something moves inside of you, and notice, something moves in you, you have a feeling. The expression, my heart leaped for joy. It leaped for joy. I didn't tell it to leap. I can't tell it not to leap. See? I was shocked by what the person said. You didn't tell it the body to go into shock, and you can't stop it. Most of the important things of life happen on a level which are beyond your conscious control. Now, you can feel them, and they can reach consciousness because from the depth they come to the surface through a movement. So as the feeling goes through the body, it reaches the surface, and then you feel the movement, which is the feeling, the anger in the movement of wanting to hit, the sadness in the movement of wanting to cry, etc., etc. You can do that, see? Well, if you're going to work with feelings, you have to work with the body. Now, you're talking about a movement, an internal movement. That's the feeling. Anger is a wave of energy that goes up through you, and you want to hit somebody, smash him, as a wave. But when it reaches the surface, you recognize it, that's anger. It goes into your eyes, and there you are. Or love, it's the same feeling of reaching out, wanting to hug, a kiss, etc. It comes from the core of you, whatever the core is, from the depths of you, and when it reaches the surface, you feel it. What we have to do, if we're working with people, is help them get in touch with their feelings. That's their life. You can talk about it all day. You can talk about feelings all day, and nothing will happen. You just talk. They're words, see? And the person will never change. And it's true that you sometimes can reach some feeling through talk. I don't want to say this is black and white all one way. But you cannot reach any strong feelings by conscious effort. Okay. So what are you going to do with patients who come in and they have terrible feelings of sadness? They have terrible fear in them. They're frightened people. They feel a sense of despair. They are so angry they could kill, you know? They are so desperate that they don't know what to do with themselves. What are you going to do with those people if you treat them? Well, the one thing you don't do is spend the rest of your time with them talking, because that won't work. You have to work with them on a body level. There's no other way. And what you have to do on a body level is make the feelings strong enough so they come up to the surface and can be expressed, that is, brought out. See? Not just lying there like sadness, fear, etc. You can't eliminate them by letting them lie there as cankers or sores or pain or anything like that. You've got to get a feeling up to consciousness and express it. And consciousness can't bring it to consciousness. It can express it once it reaches consciousness. So you've got to work with the body. Now, somewhere along here, I put something down that's very interesting. See, and when you go to feeling, you're dealing with energetic processes right away. See, I was moved to tears. I was moved to love. I was moved, not I did it. See, it's coming from inside, outside, and it's an energetic process. An energy that flows through you, creating a movement to the surface, which gives you a feeling. So when you find people that don't have much feeling, it's because they don't have much energy. You can't make a movement. Spontaneous. I'm not talking about, conscious movement. I'm talking about feelings that are spontaneous and come up. So in bioenergetics, the whole work aims at helping you get in touch with the depths of your being, you see, by working with your body. And what do we do in working with your body? There are three basic things I'm going to show you today. And those are a concept called grounding, which is an energetic process, a concept breathing, you all know about that, and vibration. Those are the three involuntary processes, much as we can speak of it that way, that we work with strongly in bioenergetics to help you get in touch with yourself. Okay? And even with the repressed part of you that you buried, etc. Now, inevitably, we do have to talk to our patients. You can't work with a body without talking, and you can't do anything in a human way without making contact. See, and even better than talking is eye contact. And the patient says, I see you, see me, I see you. We make a connection, and now a little talking helps. See, so the talking's in there. But the talking doesn't change it. It just makes a connection, see, so that you can begin to explore and express your feelings. See? But how do you get a feeling? Talking doesn't create feeling. Well, this is where we come in. We know that feelings are movement. You feel an internal movement. We know that in order for it to move, there has to be energy. Energy creates movement. That's the nature of energy. And if we make the movement strong enough, the energy strong enough, and the movement reaches the surface, you're going to have a feeling. So, how do we get the energy? Well, I suppose you have to eat, right? If you don't eat, you don't have any energy. But basically, you also have to breathe. You cut off feelings by stopping the energetic process by holding your breath or diminishing your breathing. It's a basic you cannot otherwise do it. If your breathing is free and full, your energy is strong, you have strong feelings, and you have to deal with them. Cutting off your breathing, the feeling slowly, like the fire goes out because there's no oxygen going into the fire. You know that about fires. And now it's cool and calm, and your mind can think. And you're a self-conscious person. Now, the basic things I want to talk about in the next few sections about grounding, breathing, vibration. It's the three basic bioenergetic things I work with in the therapy. And now, of course, I talk to patients, and we talk, I hope as little as I have to. Well, you know what I want them to do? Breathe. Breathe, that's all. You know, they can't breathe. That's the damn trouble. I breathe a little bit so they feel a little bit. So we have to get them to breathe more deeply. We have to get them to vibrate, because that's the life movement in them. See, breathing itself is a vibration. And then there's a concept called grounding. I'm going to say a few words about that. And then I'll take a break and we'll do it. Then we'll do a demonstration about this. Grounding is the basic principle that created bioenergetics. You see, I told you, Reich was already into working with the body, breathing, and other things like that. But he didn't have a concept of grounding. Now, grounding means literally that you have your feet on the ground. He didn't work that way because all the time I worked with him, I was lying on a bed. And lying on a bed, you don't have your feet on the ground. Simple, isn't it? I started to put people on their feet and work that way. And the more you feel your feet, the more grounded you are. That means the more connected you are to the reality of being a person standing on his feet and to feeling yourself as a person. Every patient is ungrounded, partially ungrounded, some very much. You know, schizophrenics are up in the air, they say. They are floaters, and their feet don't touch the ground. There's no reality. The ground is our reality. Now, I think it was 1953. Yeah, about 52, 53. When I first met John Prokis and I wanted him to work on me, I realized I wasn't grounded. So how are you going to get grounded? You want to feel your feet on the ground. What I did is I bent my knees and tried to press into the ground. I feel them now. I remember doing that in that first session. That helps a little bit to feel the connection. So that's almost 50 years ago, 46, 47 years ago. And I've been teaching grounding, and it never worked, or very little. I tell you, patients, you know, therapists put you in this position, and they say, all right, now ground. Well, it doesn't ground you enough. Position is not strong enough to ground people. They don't feel much in their feet. And you can tell that. You look at the feet, you don't see any real change. And it's only recently that I got into the realization that this is too weak. You don't ground in that weak way. It's got to be a more dynamic, energetic process of grounding. And that, let me see where I've got it, is in this concept here, the concept of the energetic points in the body. Now, if you get the book Bioenergetics, you see that six-sided figure of a person standing like this. And that six-sided figure represents the fact that there are 8, well, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say about 4 different places where you make contact with the outside world in a very strong way. The feet is certainly one. You can't stand and wouldn't be able to walk if you didn't feel your feet on the ground. I mean, if you're up here, you can't walk. See? Hands, you have to be grounded. When you touch, you have to feel what you're touching. You make a contact. Eyes, if you're a healthy person, you're contacting people all around with your eyes. You reach them, you touch them, you sense them, they sense you, see? And, of course, sexually. I mean, love is a connection. Therefore, it's a grounding. You're grounded in your sexuality. And damn it, when you're in a woman, you are grounded in her, connected. Not everybody is, but that's the way it should be. So I put this on here. Now, the interesting thing is that the eyes are one of the most important ways in which we connect. See? And then also the feet are important ways in which we connect to the ground. See? And the hands and the testicles. Well, the eyes are round. The testicles are round. We speak of the balls of the feet, and we have ball points in our hands, And those are the centers where the real contact's made. The balls of your feet, the balls of your eyes, your genitals, and the balls in your hands, right here, these points. That's a new concept to bioenergetics. How to work with those strong points of contact. Once you begin to work that way, people feel different. I mean, don't feel, this is not magic. It's a question how strong we can make that contact right through here. You see? You can now, if you want to see where these points are, they're right below the metatarsal. See the bones here? Just below them here is a hollow. And in that hollow is the ball of the palm of the hand. You know? Your hand, see, we rotates on that. Grounding really means a vital connection, you know, connection in which energy passes out through one channel, like electrical energy also. But it's got a specific meaning in terms of our body grounding, see? It puts us in contact energetically with the earth, literally, so that energy flows out through our feet into the earth. It also flows out through our hands into other people's hands, and I can do that. It certainly flows out through our eyes and touches your eyes. So this is what grounding is. Energy flows through these 4, 5, 6 openings into another connection, you know? But if you have that connection, then you are connected to yourself and to life. You are connected to your body. You are connected to your reality. You are connected to your own being. And when you deal with patients who talk about feeling lost or not connected or who drift, you cannot get back into any kind of real connection by talking about the fact that they aren't connected. You should do this, you should do that. It doesn't work that way. You've got to show them how to connect. Now, the trouble with bioenergetics is that you can't just teach it. Like say, now I'm going to show you how to do it, and you do it, and it's okay. It doesn't work that way. See, you've blocked off the connections, and you've got to reestablish them. See? Just like people who are nearsighted cannot connect with their eyes easily to another person's eyes. And you can say, well, that's what you do, but you can't do it. Same with the feet. You can't do it because you've cut it off. And this is something you can't change with any kind of focusing your attention or practicing, etc. Because any movement within the body that's powerful enough to break through the blocks, see, has to be spontaneous and come from within, not from your head. Those things are too weak. See? So we work directly with the body to allow the energy of the body now to open up the channel a little more. And I'll show you how we do it. And I've got a young man here, Felipe, who's worked with me, and he's going to demonstrate a little bit. Come on up, Felipe. And let me say this. If you want to be a bioenergetic person or a bioenergetic therapist, you should do this exercise every day or every other day, or you may skip a day or two, but you should do it every day. I do. Because if you aren't grounded, you're floating, you're not connected to yourself or to anything. And it's not a hard exercise to do, you've got to do it. See? Get out of your head. Now, listen, can't you take off your more? Yeah, sure, you do. All right. So what I've done simply to bring this possibility of connecting more into the, reality of your life is to work with one leg instead of two. See, we used to do the grounding this way, and it didn't have any real strong power. We do it, for example, I'll show you how you do it. You put your fingers down and you lift one leg up behind you. Now you've got double the strength or double the pressure because you're putting all your weight on one leg. And now, you see right away we get life moving. We get a vibration going. And that, now he feels his leg. See? Now you can also do it, increase it, for example. Don't put too much weight on the fingers, Felipe. And if you lift the toes slightly and the heel slightly, yeah. Now, oh, see how it increased the vibration? Now that wasn't magic. That was that the energy really went through stronger, through the whole leg. And people who've done this can feel changes in their hands just from this exercise. Energy actually coming into the hands, coming other parts of the body. That's good. And I do this every day, skipping some days, but that's a pattern every day. One of the things as you get older is that your legs go on you. I'm trying to make sure I can still walk around, so this helps. Okay, that's good. Painful?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. How does it feel to you? Can you say a few words?
Well, makes me aware of the tensions I have.
All the way up the hip, right?
Yeah.
Sure. You can lift this leg all the way up. All the way, all the way. Go high, high. Come on, come on. All right, now look at what you can do with this exercise. It's a simple exercise. But it's not, if you do it once, forget it. You won't get anything out. You've got to do it again and again till that ball of the foot is open, and when you walk, you feel it also open. Go ahead, change the leg. Just, that's it, go ahead. Now, if you get the energy into the ball of the foot, it goes into your eyes also. You don't have to do any special work with the eyes. That's by virtue of the fact that the energy radiates through the whole body equally, you know. So. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Want to do one more on each? Okay, one, good. And it helps you breathe too right away. It's okay. That's it. I'll stay a bit. Face them that way. All right. Can you still feel the feet?
Yeah.
How do they feel?
Well, I feel really the difference in my eyes. That's where I feel the difference more than feeling the feet.
Yeah, good. Good. Brighter?
Yeah.
Do you do it regularly? Well, okay. Listen, I'm not here as a policeman to, you know.
I do it every 2 days.
All right, okay. I'm not trying to tell you, you know, that you're bad if you don't do it. You're a loser if you don't do it, but I'm not judging you. Because I know sometimes I skip days too, see? I'm only trying to tell you how important it is, see? And I would recommend that you do it. All right. Now, that's good. Now we do the other exercise. There's the one other exercise with the legs that is very good in connection with the grounding, is to stand, use a stool or a chair. See, in front of this, like that. Put your feet in there. Just show you one more. Yeah, arch your back. Put your feet back a little more. And this is only for balance, not for holding. Now, if you bend your knees a little more, so you go ahead. Now try to feel that ball of that. Open the toe. Yeah, go and press into that center thing. And now we're going to charge up the pelvic area. Bend your knees a little more. You don't have to be afraid. That's it. Come on. Can you feel the feet?
Yeah, more.
Press a little more down. Come on, come on. That's it. That's good. That's it, come on. Do you feel anything in the pelvis?
The block here.
Yeah, well, it's blocked there, that's true. Well, bring your oh. All right, let it go, let it go. Put your body a little straight. Yeah, see, you should hold your body so that you're right over your feet all the time. Don't break it like that. See, that's a break in here the way he has it. See, look, bend your knee. Come on, come on. Now, that's it. Now, stay like that for God's sake. Now, this is where you. This. Okay, relax. Come on down with your This is where a good therapist can help you. See, he sees exactly what you're doing that are blocking, and he can show you what to do to open the block, and then the energy goes through. And now it's okay. What are you feeling? Yeah.
You're more relaxed for sure.
All right. Now, I can't work out all your problems in a demonstration like this. Do you enjoy doing it at times? Yeah. All right. Let me get another person. A young lady would like to come up and just, come on. Just experience it, that's all. You know, just... Now, I start every session, almost every session with a patient doing this exercise, right? Just ground them. Sometimes we talk for a few minutes. You know, I say hello after all when you come in. Good. That's good. Good. Lift one leg up behind you. Good. Now bend this knee. Yeah, that's it. Good. That's good. Good. Now press. Lift your toes slightly, just slightly, toes. So you reel more back. Good. Back on the middle of your foot. Lean back a little more. Come on. On your foot. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there it goes. See? You got a sense that you can balance the body over the ball. Go ahead. I would say that by and large, with these three concepts, grounding, breathing, vibration, you can really help patients change greatly. See, more so, of course, if they do it themselves regularly, that's all. What does it do for you? Can you talk? I don't understand that language. That's good, though. Go ahead. Press back a little more to the middle of the foot. You're leaning too far forward. Go back over your foot. Come on, come on. All right, hold it there. Yeah, over your foot. Yeah, there it goes. See, so it gets up into your pelvis. Go on. All right, don't go. That's it. Okay, come on up a bit. Want to come up? Or you want to stay? You know. Now bend knees a little. Let me see. Can you feel the feet?
Yeah.
All right, that's it. All right, just loose. Let them relax. And now, that's it. That's good. Stay like that. Well, don't, see, when people do too much of this, they break up the flow a bit, see? Instead of just letting the melt softly and just feel the feet, you know? Yes, that's better. If you look at the feet, they're thinner than the rest of her above. You know that?
Yes.
So that means that you're holding too much up here and you're not letting it down enough. That's all. See? So if you do this, stay with it till you vibrate strongly. The heavy weight will begin to drain down and out of you, and you'll be much thinner and more alive. It's not the only thing you have to do, but it's one of the basic things you have to do. How does it feel? And you might be able to do it, for example, in a position like this. If you bend your knees like this and just raise your heels a little bit, see, and press on your heel, but it's not on the ground, it'll start moving your pelvis. See if it does. That's good. Now, bend your knee a little more. That's right. Now stay right over the foot. Yeah, like that. Can you feel your heel?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Now press. All right. Hold. Breathe. Press on your heel, but don't let it touch the ground. Go ahead. Press on your heel. Go ahead. Press it. Yeah. Come on. Come on. There we go. Look at that. Right. Yeah. That's it. Come on. Come on. That's it. Now that's. You see, that's a sexual movement, and it's going to release some of the tension in here. Press on your heel. You're going back. You press on your heel so you get your pelvis forward. You can't make love with your pelvis back there. Bring it out. Come on. Press on your heel. That's good. Press on your heel. Come on. Don't let it come up your heel. That's it. Doesn't it feel good? Well, okay, very. Now, the fact is, it's a little scary too, isn't it? Yeah? No? I want to switch to a whole another aspect of the body work, a very important aspect of the body work. We're working with the grounding and the vibration. You saw that going through the body, so I don't have to do that specifically. And this more important aspect is breathing, because for several reasons, obviously, it carries the oxygen that will keep your body alive, breathing, you see. But also it's a function not of these big muscles, but of the inner tube of the body, the bronchi, even the lungs, you see, and the muscles that would suck in the air, diaphragm, etc. Also the outer muscles too, but it's such an important function. And people breathe very poorly, and since they breathe not taking in enough oxygen, they don't have much energy. Their metabolic fires burn too low. Instead of hot fires with lots of feeling, burn too low because of a lack of oxygen. Now, why don't people breathe deeply? There are two reasons for this, and I'll go give them to you, but I'll go to show you the work. If you breathe, you come alive. If you come alive, you're going to feel. If the feelings are too frightening and too painful, you have no choice but to cut the breathing down. And children do that. Now, once you've cut it down, the tension pattern that cuts it down becomes part of the neurotic ego structure, okay, which becomes itself unconscious. And now you can talk for 20 years, as many people do, and nothing changes. See? Because it's now on the level of the unconscious. So what happens is people with a lot of money go to psychoanalysts because it's a pleasant way to spend an hour and you feel important. But they don't want much to happen, you see. In fact, as Reich said, did you hear about the patient who paid her analyst $200 an hour so nothing will happen? Anyway. But I'll go back to the breathing. If you breathe fully, you will not get sick. You will not get sick. You can have accidents. You can get killed in an airplane crash, but you won't get sick because you'll have a lot of energy, which will maintain your immune system at a high level, and you won't tire out because you have the energy to do what you do without exhausting you, without pushing. If you have energy, you don't have to push. You don't have to force. So energy is the key to a decent life. And most people's energy is below the level of 50%. Below that level, most. You saw somebody had about 75, 80% of the level of energy that my parrot has. If you ever saw my parrot, I mean, and the sounds it makes. I mean, see, you'd go through life easily. But of course, you lose your energy because they don't let you have feelings. You have to suppress feelings, you have to cut your breathing, etc. How can we help you get it back? Here again, you cannot do it just talking. See? You have to talk so people understand, but the process of the therapy to change is through the body work. And since it's breathing, it isn't a breathing exercise. A breathing exercise meaning you can go to yoga for 20 years and your breathing isn't any better. Because as long as you do the exercise, you'll breathe a little better. Then when you stop the exercise, nothing has changed. Because the involuntary part of the process, the tension pattern, the holding, the involuntary part, beyond your conscious control, your exercise doesn't do it. Your conscious breathing doesn't go really very deep. We get a lot of air in, but there's a lot of tension. Because everything you do consciously with an effort is also tension. Do you know that? So, in my opinion, people are crazy out there. They're running like mad, and they wear themselves down, and they feel a little better for it, because for the moment it makes you come alive. But there's no change in anything. And in fact, at the end, they will break down some of the tissues. So what you're looking for is the involuntary, the part that happens by itself. See? I remember once seeing my little son. My wife bought him a wolf's coat for Christmas. He was a little boy about 8. It was a beautiful thing, you know. Go skiing in it as a boy, you know. He was so excited, he just jumped up in the air. He didn't do what I did. I did that consciously. He just went up in the air without doing it. That's how excited he got. Leaped. Jumped for joy, you know. But again, it wasn't a conscious act. So we're not interested in conscious breathing. We're interested in the breathing that happens by itself as a function of your life, you know, energy. Now, why don't people breathe? It starts very early in life. And I'll say this very simply, because you're going to be therapists, you have to understand these things. Most children have to stop, hold their breath, or cut their breathing down because their parents can't tolerate their crying. They have to stop crying. They have to. I can't tell you how violent parents can get when the child cries and cries and they can't stop it. See? And they hold their breath. If you could cry freely, you can breathe freely. Is there anybody here who has nothing to cry about? Crying releases the pain. That's what it is. The stronger you cry, the deeper you cry, more open you are. So we do it, the stool is a very good way to work with it. Now this position opens up the breathing tubes, see? Because it runs from the mouth, you can see a tension here, all the way down to here, and of course then it goes into the belly over there. Easy, easy. Don't force it too much. So you can see the breathing here, and there's a fairly nice movement here. But if you look here, there's a lot of tension here. Can you see it? Can you feel it, Isabel?
Yeah.
See? That's it. That's good. Now, because she's charged, you know, with being in the room with all the people, you know, feeling strongly, it charges everybody. But she doesn't make a sound. Now, if she would make a sound, it would open up immediately. So go with the oh. Now breathe. That's good. So we got better breathing. That was about 50 to 60% of the opening that she needs. Still holding here, right through here. Can you feel it? Why don't you relax. Why don't you make the sound longer and higher pitched? But don't force it, just keep it going longer. Keep it going. Oh. Now she's holding back some. See, she cut off there. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
That's it. Just breathe easy. And when you're ready, try it again. Try to stay with it longer. Easier, though. Don't force it. It's just easy. 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 Now keep it going. You listen, and you'll pick up the emotion that's lying underneath that sound. But I'll show you how to open it up. Make the same sound, and when you reach the end of the air, right? Yeah. Just go, break through it, see? And it'll... That's it, go. Keep it going, keep it going. Go. That's it, see? Now that's opening it up, the passage. And you can read her history. As a little girl, she adopted a pattern. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be in control. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to break down. Is that true? Yeah. And now she's got a job to open up, break down the tension so she could let the pain out. And one more time like that with the and try to keep it going a little longer. Now go with the words, oh God. That's a breakthrough sound.
Oh God.
That's it. Keep saying it. The voice comes in this here. Try to open up the, oh God.
Oh God.
Good, that's good, Isabel. Keep it going. Oh God again.
Oh God.
Now, can you tell God, whoever He is and wherever He is, what your pain is or what your suffering is? Oh God, I just speak about a feeling. What you feel here?
Oh God, I can't anymore.
Good, that's good. Very good. That's good, that's good. Just keep going with it. Better. You can hear the breathing trying to get free. That's it. Go on, go on, go on. Can you make the sound louder? Go on, louder.
To scream?
Yeah, sure. Scream, come on, come on. Go on, keep it going. Very good. Better. If you could make 6 screams like that, you'll break through.
I would die.
Huh? What's that?
I would die.
That's right. Well, nobody died from breathing. Go on, yeah. Go, hurry up. Woo! Go on, go on. That's good. That's good, keep it. Yes. And one more. Keep it going. Keep it going, keep it going. Excellent, excellent. She's opening it up here. Want to come up a minute? Put the hand, wait, put the hands here a minute. Yeah, like that, just so that's relaxed. Look at that charge on the body. Now, the interpretation is, of course, that she's she's got the possibility of a very strong charge in her body, but she's also frightened to give into it. Especially sexually, see, because that's where this charge goes. Good, that's very good. You want to bend forward a bit? That's good. That's it, give into it. As you come up. If you're frightened,
Yeah.
you look frightened. Good. Oh, that's good. Do you have any idea what you're frightened about? It's got to do with the feeling in your body, isn't it? Huh?
I'm frightened to feel.
You sense that?
Yeah.
Any special feelings?
No.
It's good. Just let it shake. Now that we have the camera here, I know because, well, I don't know, I guess I am working so many years with people, I can begin to pick up from their expression what they don't feel yet, you know, because the body's expressing, see? And the thing I sense about you is that the fear is of your anger. See if you can open your, go into your anger. Go on, go on. Go on, strong. That's it. Can you feel it? What could you do with it? Go on, build it up. What could you do with that?
Can destroy.
Huh?
Destroy.
Destroy. Yes, go ahead. Let it out, come on. What would you like to destroy? Go on, build it up. Not easy, huh?
No.
Okay. But if she could bring out that anger fully, she'd be free of her fear. Want to try again?
Okay.
Can you see her eyes a bit? I know you can't over there, but we turn her a little towards you. Let's try it a little bit this way. Now, that's all right. Just bring it up into your eyes. Open your eyes a little more, God. Bring it up. Bring it up. Go on. That's it. Go on. What could you do? Give expression to it in words. What could you do? I know what she could do, but she can't do it. Do you know?
Can kill.
Yes. Do you sense it a little? Can you say it?
I can kill.
No, no. You couldn't even kill a butterfly with that kind of statement. Go on, try it again. Why is it so scary? Go on, just breathe. Go on, but wide eyes. Wide, like that. Go on, look. Can you say that feeling? I could. Go on.
Can kill you.
Go on, go on.
Can kill you.
Much stronger than that.
Can kill you.
Can you scream it?
Can kill you.
Okay. Can you sense the fear of it?
Yeah.
That's okay, you can't. We can't change things, body has to change it, and we do it again and again. But she's frightened of that rage, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
Sure. You don't have to be. You can let it out in a place like this or in a therapy session until you feel, I could kill, but I don't have to kill. I'm in control. See, you're out of control of it a little bit. You understand?
Yeah.
So you struggle.
And I want to thank Dr. Lowen for the presentation this evening and to say that you give us a wonderful example to follow with your aliveness
Well,
and being in your body.
You see, bioenergetics is such a lovely thing.